Okay, part 3 in my look at the Breachway demo. Following the previous video, I am encountering an enemy with a new weapon, the flak weapons, which involves a new mechanic, the shredding mechanic. As you can see here, what this does is it applies an effect which will impact the subsequent damage on following turns. So this is a completely new mechanic and something else you have to take into account. What I take away from this is that you're going to want to prevent this damage whenever possible. You know, if you have a choice between shielding just straight damage and shielding this damage which applies this status effect, you're going to want to stop it. It also introduces the damage range concept. You can see there's a minimum and maximum damage, and that means that you don't necessarily know how much incoming damage you're going to be facing, and then you have to make a decision on, you know, how much you want to shield for, because the shielding is a set amount, but the damage could exceed it, and if it does, then you have the application of the effect. So there's some risk there. You can take a chance and undershield, or spend and potentially waste resources by overshielding. I have some missiles here. I have the beam for straight damage. Because of the cards I drew, I do not have the precision attack, so I have no chance of doing damage to a subsystem on the enemy side to take it out. So I'm just going to try the missiles. And you see the missiles are on the right, indicating how much potential damage it will apply in the following turn. And as mentioned, I have just the one shield card, which is not necessarily going to be enough to stop his damage, depending on how much it does, but no choice there. I do have the shield. Oh, I forgot. I actually used the crew effect to buff my shield. So yeah, keep those in mind. Alright. Now here's a case of where, you know, I have to watch my resource generation. As in the previous video, I ended up having more mass than I needed because, you know, your shielding opportunities are limited.
Shielding enhanced.
But you definitely want to be efficient with that. I did have some shield left over from the previous turn. You end up with half of what's remaining on your subsequent turn. So I was able to get more than just the basic 6 from the card. And as you can see, I did apply some heat damage, or rather the heat status effect, to the enemy. And as that is not cleared, it will do 1 damage to the hull per turn. Okay, I've built up a little bit more ordnance here. So I have potentially enough to do some damage. However, my energy stat was not. I didn't apply enough there, so I didn't generate enough. I don't have enough to use the remaining cards. That's where switching off of mass into energy would have helped. A little bit of a mistake there. Okay, but we've generated a little bit. Again, the problem is I only have 2. So we're in a situation of where if I want to take full advantage of the cards that I have, I would have to wait for the generation, wait a turn. Because you have the target lock card, which will buff your damage to all of the subsequent attacks, you want to be able to take full advantage. Again, you can see I have 4 mass, and I have not taken the generation out of that, so that's a mistake. But fortunately, I am facing not too challenging an enemy. Don't really need to worry too much about him. I just lost a little bit off of my hull, and hopefully I'll have an opportunity to repair that soon. So I get the usual currency rewards, and now I've received a new bit of equipment. This equipment goes in one of the slots that I have empty, and as you can see, it's an anti-missile point defense, and I also get to choose a new card. The missile slot now is filled, so I have missile cards as well in my options. And as you know, the number of battles that you have is limited somewhat, either by the available contact points in the path or just the total fuel that you have. You're going to have a limited number of these that you can pick up, so you have to make important decisions here on what to do. Usually in these types of games, I go more for things that give me new abilities and less for, stacking a particular thing such as damage. Then, of course, in this particular case, because of the resource system, you have to keep in mind of whether you're going to be able to even take advantage of it or not. As in my previous round, I found myself being low on energy, and I should have reduced my mass production. Then I could perhaps take the ray shield here, which gives you the option, if you find yourself low resource. But the damage looks good. Like this catalyst pulse means that any subsequent cards which are also applying the same damage type will be boosted. It is a high cost card, and the cards it would be having to be used with are also high cost. So it's not something you do often. You would really need to have a lot of generation of ordnance, or save it up and eat damage, and then just get full value for the use of the buffing card. Tough decision. Also have that ammo dump thing. Not sure I'm quite ready for that yet. And then another missile. Missiles, I suppose, could be good, but you won't necessarily know whether your target has point defenses and will be able to easily neutralize the damage. It seems a bit wasteful at this early stage to invest in missiles. Man, a tough choice. The shield is good. It's a good way to get a lot of shield points if you have none. More than it would cost you more in energy, or rather in mass, to do that with multiple cards. So it seems like it might be a good choice. Alright, so I've got my first piece of auxiliary equipment, which means I can use that new slot, the empty slot. It does not have a crew slot, and does not add an additional card slot. So as you can see, I do have 2 cards in this category. And my morale is generating at that rate. I'm pretty beat up. I'm still above 50% hull though. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. So it looks like the node that I've arrived at here has a repair station. It's a no-brainer. Of course, I have no choice, but I'm going to proceed. Okay, so my HP is topped up a little bit. But now I'm ambushed. Oh, this is interesting. So here's some more story and kind of like a dynamic event. No choice in this particular case, but some of these encounters will involve choices. Alright, let's see what we're dealing with. Oh, wow. Okay, that is a big ship. Reminds me of an elite dangerous ship, actually. And they have 4 card slots. And I'm still somewhat damaged. And I still only have 4 slots. And I have limited resource generation with only a 5 pip reactor. So this is going to require some careful planning. They also have a pretty big hit point pool, 75 hull. So using the crew abilities appropriately and efficiently will probably be a big part of what determines success or failure here.
Shields up, Captain.
But it seems like a good idea to just do an early attack and just hold on to those points for now.
Our missile is down.
Okay, so they destroyed the missile. One of them, I believe one got through, did some damage, as you can see. They're down to 69 from 75. Okay, so some of their attacks have the shredding effect, so those are going to be important to prevent. They also have a precision strike now, so conceivably they could disable me as well. Alright, we're going to go with the shielding because I have multiple attacks incoming.
Shielding enhanced.
And I want to block as much of that damage as possible. The thing is, the cards are played in a particular order. And it's not, you know, in this particular case I'm fortunate in that the damage total can definitely not exceed what I have on the shields.
Incoming missile.
So I don't have to worry about the risk of being shredded. And now you see the use of a buff card on the part of the enemy, that first card. So keep in mind all of these could be disabled and put out of commission for a particular number of turns, but I don't have the opportunity to put out that damage.
Enemy missile is down.
That slot that I just attacked is an every turn slot. It has 1 pip, so it's also the one that has the risk of doing the shredding damage. So if I can, that's the one I'm going to want to take out. And not really too many options for me here. My resource generation is pretty low. I do need to maintain some mass for shielding. I have that shield card that I acquired, which may come in handy, but I do need the points for it. So this is, I guess, where success or failure is going to come in most, is the mismanagement of resources. You might find yourself in a hole that you can't get out of. Just want to take a moment and call attention to the really great music. It's a really effective way of setting the tone. The graphics obviously help as well, but the sound design is really good, and appreciate that. Okay, well, thinking about it more isn't going to change anything. I only have a limited amount of resources to work with, so I'm probably going to have to eat some damage and just hope that I can pick away at theirs and put their systems offline enough to offset that. The question is, which system is most important? Probably the one that applies the shredding status effect. flak damage. Alright, a few more off. Okay, took a little bit of damage there. Got a missile incoming, but did not get the shred status effect, so that's good. I've accumulated enough ordnance for using 2 attacks, but if I do that, I would have to eat the missile damage. So another choice. I do have a special attack there with the Parrot Pulse. So another thing to keep in mind is some of these abilities on the part of the enemy are debuffs. That's what the blind ability is, but those also have pips, so it's not an effect for every attack. One of the important things to do is to, not waste attacks on something that is not yet affecting you. Alright,
Enemy missile is down.
so I was able, because I'd previously damaged the flak system, to destroy it, put it on a repair cooldown, and also use my point defenses to destroy the missile. Alright. Still pretty low on resources, don't have too many options. I do have a target lock buff card, but I won't really be able to take full advantage of that at this point. I do not have any shielding. So the incoming attack I'm going to eat. There's nothing I can do about that. But I did successfully buff my damage with the target lock. Now it's a question of maintaining the buff on myself with an attack every turn. It's going to require resources. It's going to be tricky. Again, I'm new at this. Hadn't really seen any gameplay whatsoever prior, and I noticed that I'm still not taking points out of mass, and that's hurting me a little bit here. All right, I took a lot of damage that time, enough to put me into some heat stress. Fortunately, it's below the point at which it would generate damage, but I need to keep an eye on that. And their flak cannon, the light barrage power, is coming back online next. I like how it highlights the location on the ship of the point defenses. Alright, we took the laser cannon offline, and we've done a little bit more damage to them. Still have way too much mass and not enough energy or ordnance. It's a really big mistake. See, currently I could use the raised shield card because I have no shield, but I do not have enough energy. Fortunately, I have enough to put my shield up, and I can be confident that I will not take the shredding damage because I took the laser offline on my previous turn. So, didn't really accomplish anything offensive of great import, but was able to mitigate more damage to myself. And now I have accumulated a little bit more points since I did finally adjust my reactor. And as I have 0, I can take advantage of that card and get 12 shield, which means I do not have to worry about the spread shot. Let's see, now I have to think this through a little bit. What's the best way? I can't just keep taking shots. My hull's damaged and his isn't. I need to figure out how to take advantage of this, but if I am able to keep a system disabled, I can hopefully stay on top of these exchanges. All right, good. Have one shield left. Avoided more damage there. Yeah. So I do have the ability to block a lot of damage this turn, but it's going to eat up a lot of resources and impact my ability to attack. I could do the 2 attacks. I have enough points in ordnance, but I don't have enough to do both of my attacks and also block. My generation next turn is 4, so that'll be improved. But for now, that's all I can do. So yeah, the balancing of your energy output is super important. And I can only imagine once you have even higher cost cards, it will become more difficult. Alright, more missiles incoming. Let's see. Okay, I have enough to do some kind of combined attack. Question is, at least I have enough resource. The question is, do I have enough damage to take a system offline? Noting the numbers at the bottom of the cards. We've got 8 and 12. The laser pulse is not going to fire this turn. The spread shot, however, is. Disabling that would be great, but I don't think I can. What have I got left here? Okay, so I could buff the damage. Will that put me over the edge? I would not be able to shield, and I would take more damage myself, but it seems like it's worth the risk. So I have taken that offline.
Shielding enhanced.
Oh yes, I did have enough. Okay. So I did take a little damage, but I did not get the flak shredded status, so that's good. Now, notice I only have 1 mass left, and I don't have any generation, so I'm gonna need to address that. I don't want to leave myself in a position of where I can't shield. You really, I think, at least that's my thinking, my strategy is to avoid the shredded condition. So I'm constantly making sure that I have some kind of shielding up to block that damage. I don't care so much if I get hit by missiles and the other damage, but do not want a status that's buffing damage stuck on me here. Alright, don't have any real potential for disabling anything again, so I'm just going to apply straight damage. That buff is not great, but it's not the main thing I'm worried about. So as you progress through the game, you will of course have the opportunity to unlock more card slots, more reactor pips, more pips for the individual energy types, ordnance, energy, and mass, and then that will allow you to do a lot more per turn. But at this point, I'm having to be very strategic and careful with how I'm spending these points and how I'm playing the cards. So I don't even have enough ordnance to do an attack on this turn. I'm purely going to be in defense. And I don't have enough to play both of these cards. So I'll play that one. Fortunately, I purchased it when I had the opportunity to do so. It's definitely paying off now.
We've been hit, Captain.
But I still took some damage. But no status effect. Alright. I'm gonna have to probably commit at some point to just withstanding damage and not shielding, and just working a bit more aggressively on their hull. Although I have managed to get their hit points or hull down below mine, even though they had many more than I did at the initial point. Notice that they have a higher heat pool tolerance than I do. I'm capped at 3, they have 5, although our reduction of 1 per turn is the same. Really, really tight on energy here. Or just resources in general, not specifically the energy resource. In fact, I am set to get a decent amount. I have the most generation in that resource currently. It is needed for both attacks and defenses versus mass, which is purely for the defense and repair. Yeah, I just don't have enough to do this effectively. But slowly, as long as I stay ahead in hull, I should be okay. Man, just a tough choice. What to do. Yeah, I think I need to really I just need to be aggressive as much as I can. Finish this off. Took some more damage. And I have no defense this turn. No shielding opportunities. So that spread shot is gonna hurt. Might see the first of the flak applied shredded condition. That particular point has 12. If I were to attack the spread shot cannon with specific precision damage, so close. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait. I think the best way to do this is just to wait. Yep, it's gonna have to take it. Interesting. Don't see the status effect having been applied. Okay. Well, now I have enough resources I actually have enough for all of my cards. And if I play them in the right order, I will get maximum effect out of the damage, as well as apply the damage to the specific systems. Alright, that's that one taken care of. He's got 13 left, 13 hull. Down to 7. Not bad. The energy resource is used for shielding as well, so I'm gonna want to have some for my next turn. Okay, so actually, wow, it's interesting. There's some kind of event, I guess. Yeah, free gamer pilot. It's funny, the game I think doesn't expect you to be able to do this yourself, even though looking at what's left, 7 hit points and the attacks that I have, I would actually be able to finish this off on my own. But it's introduced this scripted element where somebody's swooping in and you see all those missiles on the right side. They obviously would finish the job. But I do have a target lock, which will increase my damage. And I do have the ability to pretty much end this. But it's not going to let me. Interesting. But the battle's won. And I get some rewards in the currency and a bunch of new cards. As you can see, because I have the new auxiliary slot, now I have 5 categories of cards to choose from. But I can only choose 1 card, so it just makes the choice a little more difficult. But one of those cards, the engineering category one, is new. They are color coded. I don't know if that's, I assume it's meant to represent rarity, or perhaps it's representing, yeah, it's probably the resource type. Whatever resource type it requires the most of. Another tough choice. Now that's an interesting card, but it has a high cost. 4 mass cost? Seems like it might be good on a different type of ship, but I don't know that it's necessarily that great on the one that I have. Not so crazy about the missiles. I think I'll just stick with the tried and trusty primary weapon. Alright, let's see what the dialogue is. Looks like we arrived just in time. Not really, I kind of had it handled, but okay. Okay, so let's see. Do I have enough? No. I'm extremely damaged, but I am pretty much home. Alright. More story. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is in relation to the main storyline that involves the signal anomaly, as they refer to it. So there is reference to the Breachway, or the network, which is the network of lanes through the star system. That means we will be opening up the larger map shortly. I will put the next video up soon. Thanks again. I suggest you try the demo. It's pretty good. Take care, guys.